We'll now look at the cultural environment. Businesses usually fail because of culture, the failure to understand the culture of a particular market. Consumers are heavily influenced by the dominant traits of a culture when they are proceeding towards the purchase of any product or service. So what is culture? Culture is nothing but a complex whole comprising of beliefs, rituals, customs, morals, law, and all these together actually have become what is something called the capabilities or the habits that members actually exhibit. So what are the elements of culture? One is the knowledge and beliefs. People have particular knowledge about or notions about particular practices, processes and products, and they go by it. Ideals, what are the, say for example, they have this particular norms that, okay, say for example, in majority of the societies, ideal is that you should be honest, you should be truthful. They have preferences. So if you look at in India for wedding, especially in a Hindu wedding, the bride would always prefer a red color sari or shades of red, whereas in Christian wedding you will see shades of white or cream. Now when we look at culture, we need to understand it in terms of its dimensions. So one dimension is the low context or high context culture. When we say low context or high context, we need to understand the background in which the particular subject is being discussed. So again, in high context, intangible elements take a priority. In low context, intangible elements actually see to the background. Masculine and feminine culture. Primarily all societies are patriarchal, but you would see that in India also, in Kerala for that matter, or for that matter in states of northeast, you would see that there are matriarchal societies. So masculine culture would actually give predominance to aggressiveness, whereas feminine cultures would actually put more emphasis on personal relationships. Monochronic and polychronic. People are very influenced by time. So if you look at developed countries or European countries, you will see that they are very particular about the time. So if it is 10, it is 10. It's not 10:01 or 10 or 9:59. Polychronic, people take time very lightly. So that also actually influences the amount of work culture that is prevalent in a particular society. Universalism and particularism. Again, universal, an idea can be applied universally, particularly, say for example, when they become very focused, they say yes, no, it can be only applied to a specific situation. So this is an element of culture which is very prevalent. Like for example, you cannot have cake all the time. In India, say for example, if you have this a celebration, then yes, majority of the people usually prefer to have cake. But if it is or a mithai, but but you don't actually, even in India, say for example, if it is tea time, people like to have their desi Indian snacks. Whereas in English culture, if it is tea time, it is cakes. Individualism and communism. So when we look at individualistic, say for example, in that the culture actually gives predominance to the individual merit as such, and community takes a backseat, whereas in communitarism you would see that the community takes the top leads. Like Japanese culture emphasizes more on community as such, community being the priority. Neutral versus emotional. There are very many cultures where emotions take a backseat, whereas say for example in East Asian or Asian countries, you would see emotions are given a priority. Specific and diffuse, where the culture actually defines the amount of intrusion that a person is likely to allow. So they would actually, in specific cultures, they would likely to entertain a person to a particular level, or to let them enter into the small private space. Whereas in diffuse, it is likely they would like to guard. Achievement versus ascription. you would see that there are certain cultures which actually again prioritize merit. Like for example, in US you would see that a person's race, sex, or say for example their background does not make a difference. It is the amount of what the talent that one brings on the table. Whereas in inscriptions culture, it is based on, like for example in India, it is based on as to what is the person's background and what the family has done, and that is what describes the person's achievement. Religion and ethnodominicism. Religion plays a very important role. Its norms, its diktats actually govern as to whether people are going to purchase a product or going to be influenced by it. Like for example in India, it is with the day Navratri starts is the day when people start shopping and purchasing starts. Ethnodomination or distribution, that is the ethnic, supposing say for example in a particular community or in a particular market, some of the ethnic communities dominate. Like for example there are regions even in India, or for example in US you would see a Caucasian community dominating, a Japanese community dominating a particular region. So you would see the shops and all the goods and accessories being sold around is actually centered around that particular culture.